the Sage Sorority podcast, where the only dues here are your ears, never your dignity. This is your weekly dose of realness, resilience, and reckless abandon. A little bit of wisdom and wit for the woman who wants it all. Welcome back, guys. It is Thursday. I hope you're having an amazing week. I am finally back into the swing of regular life. I know I said that last week, but I really feel it now. I'm not jet lagged anymore. I had the longest bank weekend, aka long weekend here in the UK. It was so packed. I did lots of stuff. I had a great time. And I saw everyone else, well, not everyone else, it's very dramatic. I saw a lot of people have a good time on Instagram because if you don't know, if you don't follow F1, it was the legendary Monaco race weekend last weekend. First of all, I feel like everyone and their mom was there this year, and I was not. Humble brag, I have been several times in the past, and I felt this mix of emotion, like I'm kind of coming into my own with being more seen. And that's really what this episode is about. We're just going to intro right into the episode. This is what this episode's about. You might hear this and be like, okay, but you've been seen because you've been on the internet for so long. And that is true. There is a level of being seen that I'm very comfortable with, and I have been for a very long time. It's kind of my groove, especially fashion and beauty, taking outfit pictures. But there's always new levels, right? And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, because I think sometimes we have these moments where we feel compelled to share, or we feel compelled to grow in a certain way, or we feel compelled to pivot. And we're just like, okay, maybe I shouldn't. Like, no one cares. Is this wrong? Is this bad? And it can just feel like really, really scary to make that move. And let's be honest, right? Like, what we're really talking about here is more than just like pictures. This is not actually about social media or pictures or any of that really surface level stuff. Like, this is about visibility as an ongoing tension that will always be in our lives. It's basically when you feel like you have something to say, something to share, and you find yourself editing before you even started. Like, you're already anticipating judgment and pushback, being too much, being perceived as too much. Who does she think she is? Like, she's not even qualified to do that. A quick heads up that I'm opening up a few one-to-one coaching spots this summer. If you've been in your head about work, relationships, or what's next, and you just want to talk it out with someone who will actually listen and won't bombard you with a bunch of buzzwords, this might be for you. Honestly, summer is the perfect time to reset. Things slow down, inboxes get a lot more quiet, and that space can either spiral into overthinking or be the moment where you finally shift something in your life. You can book a one-off session with me or a monthly series. All the details are in the show notes. I look forward to talking. Bye. Okay, that is valid criticism within reason, but that's really what it's about. It's about the courage to be seen and be comfortable in that gray space and be comfortable with other people being uncomfortable with it. Right? Like, hopefully that wordplay isn't like too much jargon, but you know what I mean. And I don't necessarily mean being seen in a performative way, in a way for excessive validation or any of those low vibrational things. I mean being witnessed for who you are at any given moment, wherever you are in your life, what you've accomplished, what you're proud of, but also what you're willing to be a beginner at, what you're willing to suck at. What you're like, hey, I know that everyone else has been doing this for 50 million years, but I now want to throw my little hat in the ring. I want to contribute my little rice grain of effort or attention or creativity to the mix. And that takes courage. It really does. And that's coming from someone who has done it. And I find myself, I keep doing it. And it gets harder when you get older because we're way more comfortable in our shit, right? The good and the bad. And being seen means being exposed. Being seen means being a beginner. Being seen is raw. It's vulnerable. All of the things. And sometimes if we take it back to pictures, like they're not even just pictures, right? They can be proof that we've grown. It is a timestamp of your own evolution. That's why I don't like when people knock like pictures so hard. People are like, oh, just enjoy the moment. I 1000% believe that's a crock of shit because first of all, one day, all you'll have are those pictures. Our brains are not capable of retaining every single moment to the highest degree. There's nothing like being able to look back on things and be like, wow, that moment was so beautiful, so poignant, so funny. Like, wow, there was so much going on behind the scenes of this picture XYZ. I look at old social media pictures that I had from 2015, 2016. And you know the one thing I think? wow, I wish I took way more fucking pictures back then. Like, I'm sad that I don't have the same level of pictures from 2014 and 2015 and 2016 as I do for like 2019 and 2020, let's say, when our phones were a lot better, we had more storage, etc. Like, I wish I had more pictures from back then. And back to my original point, it's proof that we've arrived somewhere that we have only once dreamed about. And somehow, even joy, okay, can feel very difficult to make public. The happiest thing can also feel raw to make public. And I stick with the examples of social media because I just think it's easy for people to wrap their head around. Like, posting pictures on Instagram of me in a nice outfit is second nature. Like, that is not hard. I don't really overthink it. I just kind of like do it and post. Not to say I post every picture, but it's not something that I really have to like psych myself over and like get over. This podcast, years in the making. Took me a really long time to just be like, okay, are you going to do this or not? Are you going to be someone that talks about it and then actually does things? Or are you just going to be someone who talks? And that is like a very unattractive quality to me in both women and men. So I need to make sure that that's just not how I want to live. I want to be someone who talks that talk and walks the walk in tandem for the rest of my life, forever and ever. Amen. So back to the social example, right? But making TikToks was tough because I was so used to making pictures on Instagram that making videos was really hard. It was a lot more exposing, a lot more detailed. Same with YouTube. I went on YouTube, off of YouTube, like back and forth, because a new level just requires a different part of you. And a new platform also does that, right? Writing a tweet can feel easy, or, you know, sharing a thought on Threads can feel super easy. But the idea of writing on Substack, or the idea of posting an article or sharing your thoughts on LinkedIn can feel extremely vulnerable. And when you're growing or changing or sharing new ideas, especially if you're pivoting in your career or your life, it can feel like a complete beginner again. Because, you know, I believe that life is a game of snakes and ladders. You totally feel like you've hit a snake, even though you're like, wait, I've done this before. You've done something similar, but new levels. And it's hard even when you know exactly what you're doing in theory, but there is still this level of vulnerability that comes with showing people a new side of yourself, or a side of yourself that they've already seen through a different lens. And the thing is that, you know, when you're evolving and you want to put yourself out there in just like a general way, even when you're credible, even when you have experience, you're still going to feel like you're starting from the beginning. And I wish I knew that when I kind of began my journey on social. I would say that, like, hey, every time there's a new platform, or you want to take a different turn with your content, or you want to wear color instead of neutrals, or you want to post a sexy photo on Instagram and you don't normally post sexy pictures, you're going to feel wobbly. You're going to feel like you're not on solid ground. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, you know? Even when the post flops, even when the algorithm, you feel like it hates you, you might be like, oh, maybe I should not play myself and stick to what I know. But it's so tempting to just retreat back to what feels safe and familiar. Most people are not even judging you that way, in the way that you think they are. You are judging yourself against a metric that no longer matters. And that's not helpful. Your followers, your fans, whatever, insert, you know, subscriber, whatever, they're not judging you either. They're just not used to seeing you like this yet. I really believe, especially when it comes to social media, I really believe, like, if you build it, they will come. Build what you want in its respective home and do what makes sense, and they will come. I really believe that. You got to give people time to catch up with the newest version of you, right? And this is not just a social media thing. This could be someone who is now a parent, now a mother, and maybe IRL, everyone's used to you being the party girl, or you're a father and everyone's used to you, you know, being the party guy, like getting bags and all the rest. And you're just like, whoa, 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 whoa. You got to give people enough time to catch up with the new you. And you got to be strong enough and have enough boundaries. You got to be strong enough and be able to maintain your own boundaries and maintain the new you, even when it's difficult, even when it's hard. But give yourself the permission to be seen in the messy middle of whoever you're trying to become. It's like saying, oh, I'm an aspiring writer. It's like, either you write or you don't. You're a writer. Hopefully this isn't too all over the place and you guys like feel me, you know? But ultimately, like, I know I'm talking about social media a lot because I feel like it's an easy reference for me to make, and it's one that I understand very deeply. And I think it's one that a lot of people struggle with. I know if there's a few people listening that want to contribute to the social media universe and they struggle. They really struggle. It is truly a game of double dutch, and they want to jump in and they really struggle, or they jump in for like 2 seconds and then they stop. But ultimately, this is just about how we allow ourselves to be witnessed in all areas of our lives, creatively, intellectually, emotionally, professionally. What if all of a sudden now you're like, actually, I love Real Housewives and I'm still going to watch it, but I'm going to challenge myself to read one book a month. And now all of a sudden in your girl chat, you're dropping quotes and statistics and intellectualizing in a way that your friends are not used to. And they're like, whoa, okay, professor, where did you come from? That's you being comfortable with the new you. You're blossoming into someone different. Still the same, but now from a different angle. There's a version of you that is already good enough to be seen, smart enough to be heard, interesting enough to be paid attention to. The only thing missing is the frequency, aka the energy, and showing up consistently as that person. Because you know, my equation is courage and discipline will give you anything you want in this life. It'll give you the happiest life. It'll give you your dream life. But I'm going to repeat that for myself. One, I would have loved someone to tell me that I was smart enough to be heard, just as I was, that I didn't need another article, I didn't need another book, and I didn't need another podcast for research to contribute. I was interesting enough I kind of always knew that because I've always found myself quite interesting. Not a humble brag, but I guess it's a humble brag. The consistency, it's hard. It's hard, guys. As someone who is always throwing themselves online, it's hard. You show up, you fall off, you show up, you fall off. But one thing I've always been committed to is getting back on the horse. And if I'm only going to give you advice that I've lived myself, then that's what I'm going to tell you. And that it doesn't always feel good. Sometimes you feel like shit. But the more you share from a place of actually being whole and not desperately seeking validation, that is also a whole other conversation. I don't want to deviate from what I'm trying to say because I feel like this is impactful and poignant, but creating content for validation and from like a low vibrational place and also trying to convince yourself that it's not low vibrational, it's actually high vibrational is really uncomfortable. And it's something that I feel like the more work you do on yourself, you can see through. I can sift through nonsense online very quickly. And that's really like that is not a humble brag. That's more of like, it's an uncomfortable feeling because it's just not a vibe. Anyways, but when you are in your truth, and you can convey that even in a sense of content, that is very magnetic and it's very attractive. And it draws people in the best way. That is a very real thing. It's hard to dream or aspire or believe in things that you can't see. And you being yourself is inspiring. And you might be like, okay, but I'm not trying to like save the world. It's like, okay. You know what I would have liked when I was starting my blogging career is I would have loved to see another Black woman my age in Toronto because I never saw that. That's not the most revolutionary thing. I just wanted another woman who's Black, my age, that lived in the city. That was it because I never really saw that. So it doesn't have to be these massive tickers and your metric could be completely different. You might say, I would love to see another woman who lives in the suburbs, another expat, whatever it is, another father, another single guy who's confused about kids, another project manager who works in fashion and wants to migrate into tech, whatever. The courage that you have and the courage that you use creates space for other people to step into their light. So think of it as a contribution to society. You're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for others. So here's what I will say, and I'll end with this. If you're scared to post that thing, write that thing, share that thought, or even pivot into a new version of yourself, kind of like we talked about last week, you have to just do it anyway. Honestly, I wish I had a hack, and I'm sure there are hacks out there, but those are really just like mental gymnastics to get over the fear that you feel. And that quote is so annoying and so true, is that you have to feel the fear and do it anyway. You have to create, you have to create, you have to create, you have to create. That is your one and only job in this life. You're not showing off. You're showing up. And that is such an important differentiator that it could literally be like your mantra. When you feel scared to post, when you feel nervous, when you feel, does anyone even fucking care? You're not showing off, you're showing up. Letting people see you win and being comfortable in that visibility is real soul excavating work. That's it for me this week, guys. I hope the message landed, and if it did, be sure to share it with a friend so she can benefit as well. It's a beautiful day. I'm going outside to have a spritz. I love you guys so much, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye.